for the announcements in the Denver Herald-Dispatch, go to the meeting, let them know. Have them justify to you why CMS at 120% capacity doesn't get another school.
Do they have the someplace online all the projects that are going to be funded, and have they broken that down by neighborhood so you can see
so
where the distribution goes?
If you want to write, it's bond.dpsk12.org. Bond.dpsk12.org. And there you can start to see. Now they've got a mill levy override committee, they've got a bond committee that are forming, and you can go to those meetings at any time. I'll get the information to you so that you can send it out in your newsletter. And I actually write pieces for the Denver Herald-Dispatch sometimes. I'll write a piece so that you all can know when those meetings are being held, but go.
Give me that again.
Bond.dpsk12.org.
Is there any groups organizing?
I'm always organized.
You know, I mean, where people can, it's in numbers, right?
Right. I mean, that's exactly where you're at. When we did, I chaired the bond issue in 1989. One of the things we made sure of was equal distribution throughout the city. Got folks in Northeast Denver fighting for folks in Southwest and so on.
Right.
Now you got to go back through and just really show the proportionality out of that. That's going to get picked up by the media pretty quickly.
Right. I mean,
and then you redistribute.
But see, the
use
issue is the Denver Public or the Denver Post doesn't really. They're very sold on the idea of corporatized education reform, and so nearly all of the building projects that are on this bond are for charter schools. We just had a situation, and I actually carried some, school board level legislation forward. We had a situation here this summer where classroom temperatures were going to 105, 107 degrees. And so the initiative that I ran was, well, we need, first of all, we need to change the school calendar, right? And we're also now adding heat days. And so now we have snow days, so you have the ability to have heat days as well. The majority of schools, there's 50% of all of our school buildings in DPS are older buildings. Every single one of them, with the exception of Grant Ranch, are here in Southwest Denver. And so you would think that part of what we're going to be paying for would be maybe some air conditioning, maybe some swamp coolers, something of that nature, but none of that is on this bond project. I need you all to get to these meetings and advocate for our kids.
I think there's two things, a couple things. First off, proportionate distribution, that's a major issue. Number two, if you do, as you just said, older infrastructure always carries significantly higher costs than new. And so it looks like that's where they're going for the distribution. The net result is we're writing this community off. And
they're doing it through redistricting, they're doing it through foreclosures, they're doing it through...
So what, again, the relative cost of maintenance of infrastructure, that's going to get dilapidated. It's only going to, there are charts out there that actually show how much more it will cost by not addressing it and at this time. So what you're going to end up in is either going to have another bond issue later on down the road to build new infrastructure, or you got to do something with what you have here. There's a lot of data out there that can be used that, we used it in 1989, and then when we did I chaired the school bond issue in 1992.
You know, the best thing about bringing Tim to this meeting today is that now he's got 3 different issues to carry.
There's 3 things to do. Yes.
The teachers that are teaching in that big charter schools, I forget what it's called,
DSST.
DSST. They're not eligible to join the teachers union, are they?
Yeah, they can, but they don't. There's a lot of pressure not to. Yeah. So.
We talked about the mill levy, but that's like a Band-Aid. I mean, the issue, this is probably isn't for you, this is more for you guys. It's Tabor, and I mean, I'm turning 30, and I'm thinking of having kids, and
and I'm going to say,
I'm probably not going to raise them in Colorado.
Here's what I would say to that. Yeah, we always need money. We know that Colorado's like 48th in the nation in education funding, or whatever the statistic is at that time. But the reality of the situation is that this program that I was just talking about, the way we service English language learners for half of our kids, if we simply would just do that, and it's part of the general fund in our DPS. It doesn't cost any extra. We don't have to go out and look for grants or beg for any more money from the state. If we just would do that, we would get more bang for our buck. And then we really would be in a position to go to the state and say, hey, come on, you know, we're on pins and needles over here. You got to help us out. So, you know, and this is achievable and still have arts, music, foreign languages, you know, advanced courses for kids that need it, support for kids that need more support, those kinds of things. The problem is that, you know, we've made some investment decisions in the last few years. You know, we've got a pension bond deal that we're dealing with that's expensive. It's costing a lot of money. So, you know, there are decisions that we can still make with what we have that we refuse to do, right?
No, I
and
agree.
be cost effective.
But
See,
at the same time, I mean, like you were saying, I don't think we're way beyond pins and needles here. I think personally, you know.
Here's where I'm at. You know, when I went knocking door to door, I talked to a lot of people like you. I talked to a lot of folks, a lot of seniors who said to me, it's been 30 years since I had my kid in DPS. I'm still paying property taxes. What am I getting out of this? And so I personally, I do not support automatically asking the voters for more money if we can look for efficiencies in what we have. And so your investment is, it's precious, and we need to be doing better with it. Yes, we could use more money. We need more computers. We need more science labs. We need more of those things. But I think we got to be a lot more efficient with what we have first.
I'm going to let Barry go ahead and ask this question, and then we're going to have to wrap up.
Okay, well, my question is for the Senate, actually.
Right.
Thank you, Andrea.
The source of revenue for schools, mill levies and property tax. I'm a member of the Colorado State Senior Lobby, and Dr. Cog does our lobbying, basically. And what can you do? The seniors that are on it, both Republican, Democrat, and unaffiliated, all agree, or more than the majority agree, let's put it that way, be honest, that there should be a means testing for the senior forgiveness of taxes, because we ran numbers on it, and with the means test, about 17 million would have gone back to those in housing who needed it. And there were a lot of people on there who are eligible for it that said, I would much rather see, you know, $70–80 million go towards the K through 12, because we care about kids. And you know, the seniors like having that, but somehow the state can't do anything. You need to change things on that.
Yeah. So the senior homestead exemption is in our Constitution, and so to change it, we need a referendum. And actually, Representative Court started a movement for one in the House this session on the Senate sponsor, but she's not thinking it will come through. Representative Nancy Todd actually has another bill that says this is how much we think the senior homestead exemption is worth. If people don't claim that, we're going to capture that money and put it toward old age pension. And so hopefully that will be happening this year.
Yeah, the senior lobby likes that, but before it got to you, our solution was, let's put that into the kids and have a means test that makes sense. So, I mean, multimillionaires that own 4 or 5 homes, they don't really need that. But somebody that has a $150,000 to $300,000 home because of the bubble, they couldn't afford to buy today, but they bought 25, 30 years ago. Yeah, they'd like to get that money back, but they also see the needs that the school has. And they see their kids and grandkids and neighbors' children that are going without the things we took for granted 25, 30, 40 years ago in our schools before all this problem is no longer there for us.
Yeah.
And we're doing it wrong, in my opinion. And so this is another source of revenue to help out, you know, besides mill levies and the other. So I just wanted to bring it out that we need you guys to do something about it.
And there has been a committee meeting of business people. I know Senator Michael Johnson has been part of it as well, looking at what are long-term solutions to our school finance issues. And they're going to present their final was in draft form, but sometime in the next month or two, we should get something around how do we redesign school finance to make it work in the long run. So we realize this is a significant problem we need to address.
I think the public has to know that we should be pitting the charter schools against public schools run by the state. And we're all looking for the same basic thing, but...
We all want the same outcome. We have different ideas about how to get there.
Some are bottom line driven and others are education driven, I think, in my opinion.
I want to thank you all for coming and for staying late. And it will be around here, I'm sure, picking some things up and stuff. So if you have any questions for Senator Garone or Tim or I, please feel free to ask us. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.